So imagine a kid learning how to ride a bike. So the kid's riding the bike, his mom and dad are watching. He's like, look, mommy, look, I can ride. They take the training wheels off, he's super excited. Then he starts riding, he rides down the street, and he's now really confident. So as he increases his confidence, he raises his hands off and takes his hands off the bars. And he goes, look, mommy, no hands, and he's super excited. And then of course, he rides a little bit more, and then boom, he falls. And so, if we stop here and we imagine this scenario, what do you think the kid's thinking? What do you think the kid really wants? So I think the kid wants a couple of things, right? He wants to be accepted. He wants to be acknowledged for having learned how to ride the bike and have gone down the street and made it, and even been able to take a risk in raising his hands. The second thing I think he's looking for from his mom is encouragement. Despite having fallen down, he's looking for his mom, and he wants his mom to run over, care for him, encourage him, tell him it's okay, and believe in him that he can actually do it. I think he also wants his mom to kind of pat him on the back and say, hey, good job, you tried hard, and recognition and praise for the effort that he's put forth. So how does this situation then relate to how we work with our teams and our organizations? If we think about our employees, don't they want those same things? Meaning that, don't they want to be accepted and acknowledged for who they are in all of their strengths and their talents and in their capabilities? Don't they want to be encouraged and praised for a job well done when they do put in forth a lot of effort and when they do perform well? And don't they want to be encouraged and supported even when they sometimes get stuck? And don't they sometimes want us to step in and help them when they do get stuck? When we talk about maximizing the potential in our people, and then sometimes I talk about how every single person has maximum potential waiting to be unleashed. And some people will say things like, you just don't get it. You don't know my organization, you don't know my team. He doesn't want to do a good job. He doesn't care. She just likes to do the same thing over and over and over again. She doesn't want any progress. You just don't understand. And you kind of get the picture. And I've heard a lot of these things before. And perhaps you and I may have said these things in the past about certain people we've worked with. Hopefully we used our inside voice when we said those things. But if we were to really stop and think about those complaints, do we really believe that's true? Do we really believe that employees don't want to do a good job? Do you think that they want to mess up and they want to not produce, make mistakes, get criticized, maybe get fired? Do we think that employees really want that? Is it possible that we have some employees that have become so conditioned to getting criticized and rebuked and reprimanded when they make a mistake that they've become really risk averse and afraid to do anything outside the box for fear of failure and for fear of making a mistake, creating then a cycle where they can't create and innovate because they're too scared of getting beaten down. So they want to hide, and not be seen. Is it possible that some employees don't feel like they should do a good job, or what's the point when they're not valued anyway, and they're working in an organization that doesn't care about them anyway, so why bother? Is it possible that some people have managers or leaders who work with them who assume the worst in them anyway? So no matter what they do and how hard they try, it's actually coming through the lens of negativity. So it doesn't matter what they do because it'll still be filtered through that lens. Right, so if we stop and think, you can see there's a vicious cycle that could happen. You have a culture and an environment that is not nurturing, that doesn't value people, that's critical, leading to then employees who are unproductive, uncreative, who are unresponsive, who then lead to then managers and leaders who are frustrated, upset because the results aren't coming, and the employees are lazy and unproductive, right? So you see this, you can imagine this vicious cycle that happens. All of, by the way, have implications to your customers, your suppliers, your investors, your partners, etc. And so how do we make choices that either stop this vicious cycle or avoid it from happening in the future? So here are just a couple of ideas. I think one, look in the mirror. And so what does that mean? So looking in the mirror, being really honest about what it is that your current culture represents, and what are the values that are being played out every day. Is it driven by fear? Is it driven by insecurity? Is it driven by stabbing people in the back? Or is it driven by other things? The second thing is around what I call dream. Dream about what is the environment, the ideal culture that you would like to create, and be really and expand the thinking as you think about dreaming that culture. And then the last piece is walk the talk, and be willing to walk the talk and role model those behaviors that then represent and bring your values to life. And so an example of that would be, I could desire to have a non-hierarchical culture, right? But if I jump into a meeting, and the moment I jump into that meeting, the only person speaking are the top few in the company, and the assistant or the lowest guy in the total poll is never given a voice. Is that really consistent, and am I really role modeling this value of non-hierarchy that I'm trying to create, right? And so how do I proactively change how I act, because our actions and behaviors become then the representation of what we truly believe. So imagine what could be possible if we really accepted and acknowledged each one of the people in our organization and the strengths and talents that they bring and the value that they have. Imagine what could be possible if we created an environment where we rewarded and recognized the efforts that people put forth regardless of the outcome. And imagine what could happen if we were supportive and held people's hands when they needed help and when they make mistakes, which we all do. Just imagine what could be possible in terms of the impact that would have to your entire organization and to your effectiveness, your productivity, and your creativity.